white string,
White
flow
string,
yellow.
flow yellow, sir.
What's up, guys? So today we're at Spokane Valley Archery. We're hanging out with MFJJ, Josh Jones, and we're looking at my string, and it's beat up because of me. I've been moving my peep up and down just because of this severe string angle, and if I switch releases, I've worn this string out pretty good, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, if you move your peep up or down with pressure against the string, don't put it in a press to do it. A lot of times you can wear that, or if when you served it originally, if you accidentally got a little heat close to the fiber, it'll do the same thing. It'll start to fuzz up like this. And it's fine at first, but when it starts to really look rough, it's probably smartest. So I can, there's a broken strand in here. I can actually pull it out. So
yeah.
That is no-go zone. We need to take this off, put a new string on it, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a little time lapse for you on that.
I don't have to change the cables, right?
No, your cables are fine. We'll just put a new string on it and literally take some measurements off it, and it'll be like exactly like it was before with ease. It won't be a problem.
And the cool thing is today we're finally going to show you guys behind the scenes of how these guys actually build custom strings in-house.
A lot of people don't realize this, but your bowstring, if it's like one color, is literally one piece of string over and over and over. So this bowstring will have 24 strands on it. So I've got my length already laid out in my jig here.
Why 24 strands? What are the...
It comes out to the appropriate diameter with the appropriate load. Okay. So you're trying to make your string a particular diameter so when you go to put a knock on it, it actually fits.
Do some companies make thicker or more strands now?
Yeah, and I've built heavier strings for different applications. Like let's say you come in here and you're building a Frankenstein and you want 90 or 95 pounds. I would probably build you a heavier string set, but you in turn need to put smaller diameter serving on it so it fits in the cam grooves. Yeah. And then you're going to kind of get a little funny when it comes to doing the actual center serving, because that really has to fit specific for it to work right. So all I'm doing here is just going around 12 times, and I'm keeping tension on it the whole time so it's nice and snug.
Is that the actual string material?
This is the material. This is 454 in white. So we're matching what Dan had, so he's got a new one. And the white looks really sharp. I like to use natural because it has no dye in it. So whenever you add dye or waxed white here, you're creating an abrasion in the string and you're weakening the fiber itself. No colors actually make a fiber stronger. They all make them weaker. So because of that, I really prefer to use natural. Other than like on a bow that I'm going to put in a ground blind or whatnot, then I don't want something bright because I don't want to be seen. So I'll stick with a darker color. But outside of that, I always use natural, especially on my target stuff.
So you were putting 452X on mine for a while?
I started with 452X because it was the material that I'd used the most before I started manufacturing, that I saw the least amount of give in. And what 454 is a new fiber that is basically the same give strength, but what they focused on was trying to make it not look fuzzy, because 454X looks fuzzy almost immediately.
452X?
452X looks fuzzy almost immediately, and because of that, people think their string's like breaking right out of the gate. It's not aesthetically pleasing. It never wore out or got bad for me, ever. I never had that issue, but some people got concerned with it, and that's where 454 comes in. Does everything that 452X did, but it always looks nice and clean, doesn't have the fuzzy to it.
What's up on Dyneema?
Dyneema's in a lot of different string materials. It's blended with other materials. So most of the materials you're going to see today have a portion of Dyneema in it. So, but if I remember right, Dyneema is a bit slower. So it's not ideal for most instances.
So how many strands on top and on bottom there you just did, or how many times around?
That's 12 around, so that'll equal 24 strands. And then since I've actually got it here, I'll go ahead and do this now. We'll grab another different color of material, and we'll loop it.
Honestly, this is cool. I've never seen strings get built, have you? And people will now see that.
So this is going to be where his peep goes. So we know it's exactly this half of the string.
Yep.
So you're not trying to take fibers from this side and this side to have an equal amount, so they won't want to rotate. And that's when most of the bows that you're seeing from the factory now have a little tail sitting in it. That's there so you separate the peep correctly. So you have the right side of the fibers and the left side of the fibers separate from each other. Makes the peep not turn so much. So where did I put my, there it is. That's my end loop serving. I usually go about 1.5 inches or so.
What about which way to twist it, right or left? What's your thoughts on that?
We'll always clockwise because your fiber is spun clockwise. If you actually look at the fiber itself, the material, and try to untwist it, it's spun clockwise. So I've always been concerned that if I twisted a string counterclockwise, the fiber internally would try to unravel slowly, creating more stretch and more twist. So when I looked at those, when I started building them myself, I always turned it clockwise because it just made sense to me. And then I've had such good luck with no stretch that I'm assuming that's the right way to do it.
So now you're twisting the strings?
Right now I am just putting the serving on the ends.
Okay.
So when we put it in the stretcher, it's covered on the ends and they won't separate. This just takes a minute, and then we'll come over and put it in the twister and put the appropriate amount of twists in it, and then put it in the stretcher and let it sit for a little bit, and then we'll come back and serve it. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Bring it out. And then make sure those are somewhat even. And then check them down there, and if you did your job really close enough, I would think. And so we have a 58.5 inch string. So I'm gonna go up to my lengths and go 58. We want 45 twists. So I'm gonna forward twist. I'm gonna give it 40. It's twisted. Now you can take it back out of here, turn your air off. And make sure you don't let it untwist. Hook it in my custom made jig, the first thing I ever made. Close the air, open the air. Good. Is she tight? All right, so we have stretched our string. It's no longer decreasing weight, so we can put it up in the twister serving portion and actually put the serving on at 350 pounds of pressure while it's rotating and make a serving that will not separate. So we're going to do that now. Okay. Yeah, a little depressing.
Well, just I'd have to have like earbuds in, listen to some music or something.
Most people do. All right. So now here's where we need your other string, so we can figure it out. And it's over. All I'm doing is marking where my my serving is going to start and end, and I can put the serving bobbin on there and tell it to rotate, and we won't need that anymore. Here you go, Jake. And grab my flow yellow. Start me up on this end. Yep. That's a Matthew, so it's got a little bit bigger loop, so I'm going to leave it a little big. Certain ones require different thicknesses of loop, so you can get it on and off their ends. Hoyts tend to be a little smaller. Botex are kind of medium sized, but the Matthews have a big loop. Once we get that going, it's about 10, so I'll pull that back out. All that stuff that you like. A little tighter. And if you do it too tight, you'll break the serving, so that's kind of the... And I'm uninterrupted and I don't have to answer a phone or talk to somebody or anything like that. I can probably make a string set, full bow, in 45 to 55 minutes. It's been a couple years since I'll bring one over and let it stretch. So it's assembly line kind of. But yeah, if I have it, and it's, by the time you get your third piece in there, you can probably pull your first one. It's probably stretched out enough. But it can be a bit of, it's just like a peep, but you're using a jig instead of your hands. Different from original, that I think I get a really big kick out of watching people develop that way. I've always hired like a high school kid or a college kid for the most part. I usually don't hire to have that white string to get someone else. It does look really good. I actually ordered a massive color kit, so you can do all kinds of different string tubes. So we're going to finish up Dan's string here and get him all rolling, but the process of making the string you guys now saw, that's how we make them here. If you are interested in sending your products into here to have us put strings on it, we require you to send your bow because we're not going to risk letting it leave and not be perfect. So go to podiumarcher.com. We're working on a caption in there. It should be done pretty quick, so you can fill out your information, send us your bow, and we'll put new strings on it and send it back to you. For now, we're going to finish up Dan's string and get him shooting again. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.